I'm Michael Pinto. I'm the CEO of Wonder Makers Environmental, and we're based out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. I have the honor, actually, of being involved in some of the testing that was done. It was quite an eye-opening experience for me. The interesting thing about this particular system is that it has so much potential. When you can use it for fire contamination as well as sewage contamination and flood contamination, or trauma scene cleanup, for example, which is your bloodborne pathogens, all of those are different venues that all feed into the restoration industry. And when you can be a multifaceted contractor with a single piece of equipment, then I think that is really something that makes a difference, particularly when we're facing some challenging times from an economic perspective. If I can have one piece of equipment that can be useful in 4 or 5 different areas of the restoration industry, that really seems to bring some value to the table to me. In essence, we took intentionally sewage contaminated materials prior to any sort of treatment and saturated and then isolated for 3 days the various soft goods and even leather goods and coats and boots and a whole range of soft contents, and flooded them with sewage, put them in bags and let them cook for a few days. Then we took the items out, did field tests where we were able to get an immediate measurement of the bacteria load, as well as samples for a laboratory test. Each item was individually marked and then put into the Esporta washing machine. We tested a number of different wash cycles to determine which ones would be the most effective, and then measured the individual items after the washing process. We didn't even wait to do the drying, which could also have a positive impact on the reduction of bacterial load. We took it right out of the washer. The results were very encouraging and in some respects a little bit surprising to me at the level of effectiveness at the reduction of the contaminants, because we mixed sewage contaminated items and non-contaminated items in the same load and then measured some of the non-contaminated items after the fact to make sure that there wasn't a cross-contamination from the wash cycle. When you take the results from that particular test and then match it with the series of scientific tests that they've done to prove the effectiveness of both the Esporta process and the chemicals that are used in the system, previous testing of sports gear, previous testing of firefighter gear, really creates a very large database that proves the effectiveness of Esporta in regards to the reduction of contamination for a lot of different items that we run across in the restoration industry. I get the question asked frequently, what was the comparison criteria that we used to determine whether the bacteria load was effectively reduced? And if you look at some of the regulations from the U.S. Department of Agriculture in regards to the amount of bacteria load that can be in processed foods and things, that's what we used as a criteria. So a very stringent one, but the fact of the matter is some items, particularly items for children such as teddy bears or even clothing and things, can and do have a hand-to-mouth potential. So we just wanted to make sure that something coming out of the Esporta system would not be dangerous to the individuals that were receiving it afterwards, and if it would be acceptable as an edible product or as a food product, then certainly we felt that was an appropriate criteria to use even for non-edible materials. So, you know, if somebody asked me would I feel comfortable after the system was done, and particularly if there was some post-cleaning testing, which is part of the CCRN program, would I feel comfortable eating an item that came out of Esporta after a sewage loss? And the answer is yes. And I don't say that lightly because I'm Italian and I like good food. The bottom line from my perspective is if we can have a win-win-win situation where we help the customer by saving some of their precious personal items, we help the insurance adjuster by reducing the cost where cleaning is much less expensive than a cash out of those items, and we help the contractor to increase their business in regards to cleaning some contents rather than just having them as a problem, actually, where they have to dispose of them and not get any sort of compensation for that. Again, for me, that's a win-win-win situation, and it's something that I'm happy to promote. And I should mention that I'm not a salesman for Esporta. I'm just a believer in Esporta.